Hey guys, so I want to make a quick video going over how to easily gear your character. If you're struggling with DPS, if you're struggling with gearing, you're new to PoE, you don't know how to use the website, I kind of want to make this video for those people that are struggling with that. So yeah, how do you gear this character, the Land Hour Deadeye, how to use trade website more effectively, and all of that. So as you can see, I'm like 49k tooltip. I used to be higher, but I went down because I wanted to get more MF, so I lost some damage. So yeah, how can you get this high of a tooltip? A lot of people ask me like, wow, my bow is pretty good, but it's nowhere near yours. That's because gear in PoE is everything combined. It's not just the bow, it's not just the quiver, it's every single piece. Like for example here, if I go to my character, this one jewel gives me 31k to 49k DPS. So like I said, it's everything combined. This jewel is obviously insane, but every small jewel as well. 44k to 49k, you add all these jewels up, and this is where I'm getting all my damage from. Every jewel I have is like 5k damage here, as you can see. So it all adds up. Same with stuff like the quiver, right? If I take my quiver, I'm not going to do it because it breaks my dex, but my damage will go heavily down. It's every single small piece added up, along with levels as well. Every level is effectively going to be around that like 10% to 12% increased damage, from these small nodes and stuff. So every level is also massive. See, that's the first thing. Damage comes from everywhere. It's not just the bow, it's every single piece. Now, what are some ways you can increase your damage as well? I know some people follow my build, they feel like they're lacking damage, they don't know how to get more damage, they have a good bow, but they're not sure. Well, first, like I said, it's always levels. If you need more damage, spec into the damage nodes over the evasion nodes first. Damage is a form of defense in this game. You kill the monsters before they kill you. It's a thing in PoE. But if you do want more damage and you already have a good bow, another thing is trying to get different pieces that give you damage besides jewels. So jewels are a great way to get damage, but let's say you already have good jewels. Well, other good ways to get damage is flat damage on your gear. So this ring, for example, it's a terrible ring. A tier 4, tier 5 flat and tier 3 flat. It's not that good at all. But if I put this ring on, you can see it gives me 3k damage. So an option you could do if you're struggling with damage early on is sacrifice life on your rings and go for like double or triple flat on the prefix, as flat's a prefix. And this can give you a lot of bonus damage early on. I don't recommend to do this in the end game because you don't really need that much damage. But early on, getting flat on your rings can be a huge boon to your DPS. You can sacrifice the life, that's completely fine, and get that flat damage, as it will boost your damage by quite a bit. Other ways is also Hand of Wisdom action. This is a more expensive option, but it does give a lot of damage. If you can afford it, this can be a way to easily fix your damage if you feel like you're lacking. I think it's like 6 or 7 divines right now. But yeah, if I put these on, you can see it gives me up to like 20k DPS, and I like changed nothing else on my tree. I changed nothing on my gear. 20k DPS for just equipping this, and this gets better and better with the more stats you stack. So if you do Hand of Wisdom action build, you can get like intelligence on rings, helmet, amulet, whatever, and you'll get more and more and more DPS. So yeah, that's another way you can build around this character. I'm not doing Hands of Wisdom in action because I already have enough damage, so I don't see a reason to do it. It is a nice option though if you do want to go that full damage route. Of course, the other two ways is just getting a really good bow and really good quiver, as you do have really good quiver scaling from either your jewels or this nice 5-point wheel here. So again, a good quiver can heavily boost your damage. Now real quick, I want to go over how to properly gear your character as well, and not just the damage side. So here I'll show some searches that you can do. If you're new to PoE, you might be like really bad with trade, you don't know how to really properly use it, how to really search for it. So here's some examples I want to do. So here's a search example of a quiver. Essentially what the search does, it looks for attack speed either on implicit or the suffix. It looks for a bunch of good mods in general, like flat damage, projectile damage, bow damage, stuff like that. And I always want at least +2 proj and dexterity. So this guarantees no matter what I search here, it's going to have dexterity, it's going to have +2 proj, and it's going to have 3 out of these mods, and it's going to have at least 1 attack speed mod. Now, if I search this, there's going to be quite a bit of results, and they're actually not too badly priced either. Now, some of ththese aren't that great, some of these are pretty good, but yeah, it's actually not that bad of a price. Also, if you want to go for a more expensive route, I'll change this 1 to a 2 here. And the reason for this will now search for attack speed on implicit and the suffix. So it'll be a primed quiver with a suffix attack speed roll. And none of these exist because these are pretty rare. But yeah, this is one example of a way you can search for an item. I just wanted to show this real quick. If you're not sure how to add these groups, it's just right here, right? So count 1, and any stat you add here, they'll only count 1 of those stats and they'll search for it. So yeah, it's pretty simple to do, pretty easy, and this is the way you can search for a lot of items in your game. Another example here, I'll use the amulet. So here's a really simple amulet search. Essentially what this search does, it's looking for a amulet with at least 50 spirit. Now it's either 50 spirit with an implicit and the prefix combined, or just 50 spirit flat. So essentially right here, 47 spirit because it rolls from 47 to 50, and I'm searching for 1. So I either want 1, either 47 on the prefix or the implicit, and then always at least 34 spirit. Essentially, the TLDR of this is that no matter what you search, the amulet will always have at least 50 spirit if divined. So you see this one, at least 50 spirit, this one at least 50 spirit if divined, right? This is one of the ways you can smartly search for your amulet, as 50 spirit is pretty important for the build. And some of these are actually pretty good deals. Like this one right here is double res, 1 divine, and it's, you can get 50 spirit with a few divines on this. So yeah, searching smartly is a way to save a lot of currency in this game, and you find a lot of good deals. Let me show you another example here. Here's a simple jewel search. So with jewel searches, you really just want to add a bunch of good mods together, then do like count 3 and then search. And you can see these are really cheap, 3 exalts, and you get 3 property jewel mods. So this makes like all these 1-point jewel slots extremely effective. You spend 1 point and you're getting like attack speed, LE damage, and damage with hits against rare unique enemies. Really value. Yeah, this is one way you can do a jewel mod. I'll leave this one down below so you don't have to do it yourself. Another search I want to show is the bow search, the very important search. A lot of people always ask me, hey, do I need +1 arrow on my bow? The answer is no, and I do want to answer that real quick. Whether or not you get +1 arrow on your bow just depends on how much damage you need and you want. You get more damage without +1 arrow, but +1 arrow makes your clear feel a lot better, because land arrow with 2 arrows does not feel as good as 3 arrows. Also, if you played this build before, you know a 3 arrow land arrow feels a lot better than 2, but this is up to you. If you want more damage, go for the 2 arrow bow, especially on a more budget, you probably have to go for a 2 arrow bow. When you get more currency, go for a 3 arrow bow. But yeah, this is how you easily search for a +1 arrow bow. Once again, you do count 1, then you do implicit bow attacks for additional arrow, and then suffix bow attacks for additional arrow. Now if you search, you can see we can find the bows. And now, of course, if you just don't want additional arrow, you just want the highest damage, you can see the price difference as well. Let me go to bow real quick. Yeah, 1 divine. So you can see additional arrow adds a lot of cost to the bow. So yeah, that's something to keep in mind here. And there's also other stuff you can do here too. So for example, if you just don't want fire damage, as fire damage is the worst stat for the build, you could do like add fire damage here. And now I'll search for bows that do not have fire damage on the prefix, so you can easily search these bows. But as you can see, there's quite good bows here. Like 1 divine for 400 DPS is quite nice. Also, that's another thing real quick, is the fuzzy search. So when searching for mods, for example, if you just want like cold resist, is do the tilde and then just type in cold, and it easily searches for you. If you don't have the fuzzy search going on, then if you mistype like once, it automatically bricks your search, right? So yeah, have the fuzzy search when doing anything. It makes it way easier to search for mods in this game. You don't have to type perfectly. You can do any way you want, and it'll easily search the mod for you. One last thing I want to go over real quick is, okay, how do you properly gear your character in order? So obviously if you're buying gear 1-on-1, it's not a big deal, but if you're buying your whole gear from scratch, it's important to get the more rare and harder items to find first. So what do I mean by this? So for example, stuff like the amulet, boots, chest, and rings are generally the hardest pieces to find exactly, while stuff like the gloves and helmet are really easy to find. Because of how resist works in this game and you want capped all res, you should search for the hardest pieces first. So if I was to start my character from scratch, I would buy my amulet first, boots, and then rings. Then after that, go for the chest, then gloves and helmet. The reason for this is because there's a bunch of gloves on the market, and you can easily find gloves with the resist you need. It should not be a big deal whatsoever. But finding, let's say, an amulet with spirit, life, and an exact resist you need can be pretty challenging. So if you get this piece first, it's going to make the flexibility of your helmet and gloves a lot easier. So if you get this piece first, you don't have to worry about getting the exact resist on your amulet. So yeah, it's always more important to get the hardest pieces first. Same with the boots, because getting boots of high movement speed and exact resist can be quite challenging to find. And same with rings as well. Yeah, I do recommend to always buy your helmet and gloves last, as these are really easy to find any resist combo you do actually need. Anyway, I think that's about it. That answers all your questions. How to use trade more effectively, some effective trade searches you can do. I'll leave the jewel search down below. But yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to stop by the stream or, leave a comment below. But yeah, that's it.